Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Not Your Average Joel. So, we are on episode 17, and as you can tell, just came back from the beach like yesterday, and I enjoyed it, and I definitely missed it. So, that's why I thought I would, before I go back to work tomorrow, I thought I would just go and just wear this one last time before I put it up in my closet till next year. So, anyways, so this is, episode 17. And I actually have a new face here with me. I know y'all have seen some of the familiar faces, like you've seen, my friend Alex, you've seen like my friend Caitlin, you've seen some of these people on here probably at least 2 or 3 times, but this is his first time here on my podcast episode. So this is Justin. I've known him for a good at least probably 6, 7 months. I met him
hmm
early this year on this app called United Young. And I know you've probably heard me say this over a few episodes what United Young is. It's a Christian app. It's a friendship app, and you can also find like your a special someone on there as well. And most people that I've met on there is on the friendship side, and Justin definitely being one of them. So like I said, I met him and along with some of my other past guests like Alex and Armand and even Anthony. So like I said, this is my fourth guest that's from the United Young app. And Justin is from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I've never actually been, like, I've only been to the airport there. So hopefully one day I will get to explore outside of there because I definitely want to go to the Billy Graham Museum. I definitely want to see all the stadiums and, all that good stuff and just exploring the town and all that. So that's definitely something hopefully I can do here in the near future. So before I tell you what the topic is about, the reason I usually get people to introduce themselves, like saying their job and stuff like that, and I'm not going to do that with Justin this time because it's actually my first question. Because the topic that we're going to talk about today is going to be called life or death situations. So as you know, so that's definitely major, pretty scary, serious stuff going on. And listen, Justin deals with this a lot with his job. So I'm actually going to go ahead and ask him his first question, which is, basically the reason why we're doing this topic. So can you tell everyone what your job is and how long you've been doing your current job?
Yeah, so I am a 911 telecommunicator, and I've been doing the job for about 4 years. So the job entails answering 911 lines. So anytime someone picks up the phone in an emergency and dials 911 or calls our non-emergency number, it comes to our center, and we answer the phone and we go through a specific series of questions that we're trained to ask so that we can get all the information like your address and your phone number and what's going on so we can send you the appropriate resources.
Yeah, so this is definitely a very important job because it could be a matter of saving somebody's life or just you never know like how quick, like you definitely got to be quick and sharp with all of this and like getting in communication with the police officers and or ambulance, stuff like that. So it's definitely
Absolutely.
a very important job to take care of. And I know it's definitely very much needed out here. So especially the way this world is going, it is going crazy.
Yeah,
Everybody,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's like everybody's crazy all around. And listen, there's definitely like I know this isn't a question that I wrote down from you, but how many like calls do you feel like you take like on a daily basis, like an average number?
So it really just depends on the day. Obviously, our weekends are busier. We have a state park and we have 3 lakes in our county. So the summertime is obviously more busier. But on an average day, maybe 60 or 70 calls a piece is what we answer. We operate with 4 people and generally 5 people during prime time if we're at full staffing. So it just kind of depends on the time of day and the day of the week, depending on if people are at work or people are off. But generally about 60 to 70 calls a person.
Yeah, so you definitely keep busy, definitely during all that time for
Absolutely.
sure. So I know this is also another random question that I was thinking of, but like if anybody in your group ends up having like laryngitis, can you just don't come into work, I guess? Like
Yeah, so we operate a on-call schedule. So every 4 days we rotate on calls. So if someone is to call out and they need help, they'll page out for any part-timers or anyone that wants overtime. And then if none of those pick it up, the on-call person picks it up and they go in and work the shift. So there's never a time where we're short-staffed in there. We always have the amount of people that is needed for the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So
okay, good. That's definitely a relief because, let's say, if you had somebody that couldn't come in, whether they were sick or something, it's good that y'all have like backup people that are able to come in if needed. Because, like, you definitely don't want to be calling 911 and them answering like 911. What's your emergency? It's like like hold on, hang up. It's gonna. So, so yeah, so I was just I was wondering about that. I was thinking about that as you were talking. I was like, what happens if like somebody gets sick? Like, is of course you got to have your voice to
yeah,
communicate.
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm glad that y'all have like people that are able to fill in if somebody was not able to, whether it's sickness or even vacation. Which, by the way, Justin just came back from Florida as
I
well.
did.
So he went to Key West and Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and then I just went to Panama City Beach, which is very, very northwestern Florida. So definitely a good time. So yeah, in these situations where if Justin is going on vacation, he definitely has. There's definitely people back at his place, where they can back him up, like to basically fill in his spots. So that's definitely good. So
Absolutely.
all right, so as we know, being a 911, operator, dispatcher, it definitely comes with these like really hard calls that come in where you'll hear something very tragic, that may happen. So after taking like a hard call, like what are some like emotions that go through your head, and like how do you handle those emotions during the call?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the biggest emotions that we feel as call takers would have to be sadness. Sadness for the family that dealt with the tragedy that we just took, or sadness for the responders that had to see it. Of course, we hear it and stuff, and they see it, but probably all around sadness would be the biggest one because that family just lost a loved one, and you just took the worst call of your career. So that would be my number one. My number two would probably be questioning yourself. Is there something I could have done better? Could I have worked faster, or could I have got responders there faster in order to help save that person? And unfortunately, in many cases, we work as fast and as accurate as possible, and there's just nothing else that can be done. But we know that we did our best, and that's kind of what we're trying to remind ourselves and each other as a big team is that we did all that we could, and we worked diligently together. And unfortunately, the outcome wasn't good, but we did the best that we could. So those two are probably two of the biggest ones. I would add maybe a third with anger. I definitely feel like we deal with some anger. We deal with very irate callers at times. Someone is not calling 911 to tell you hello. No one's not calling 911 just to thank you for what you do. Someone is calling 911 because they are experiencing the worst day of their life. There's something in their life that has happened that is so unexpected that they had to pick up and call for some kind of help. And most people, that I find that I talk to, when they experience that, there's a lot of adrenaline. So they don't realize the things that they say. They don't realize the tone of voice that they're using or the excitement that they have at that time. So I would definitely say anger could play a part in that, just because we could be upset at the way that the caller's talking to us, or we could be upset that the caller's not answering our questions. But at the end of the day, we have to remind ourselves that, these people are in distress, and we have to try and talk to them as calmly and professional as possible to get them the help that they need. So those would probably be my top three. So sadness, anger, or sadness, questioning, and then anger.
Yeah, those all three definitely make a lot of sense. Like especially with sadness, just thinking about unless your heart's broken because somebody probably just lost a loved one, or somebody's
Yeah.
potentially going to lose a loved one, and that's
Hmm.
definitely hard to take in, because you may even like, what if you were in their shoes, like trying to
Yeah.
picture that, like what if that was your loved one, and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And like, and at the end of the day, we're all human, we all work together, we all have some kind of connection with one another. And just hearing that, somebody's either taken somebody's life, or somebody is done harm to somebody, or
Hmm.
even like a car crash, accident, like just those moments can definitely be hard. And like I said,
Absolutely.
even the questioning yourself, I can understand that as well. Like you may start uh, putting, like you may almost doubt yourself, maybe wondering, like, like you said, could I have done something differently, like
Yeah.
was I not fast enough? And it's good that you have like a support system, that like a team that has your back and knows that you're all working together in this, and you're all, you can build each other up during those times. And
Absolutely.
because those calls definitely is definitely hard for the victim, but it's definitely just as hard for the people that are answering the calls too.
Hmm.
So just because that operator's loved one in that moment may not be in a car crash, doesn't mean that it still doesn't affect them. So those are definitely some major emotions. And even anger, like I know I've always, like, before even meeting you, or before even really watching much of, like my parents are big into like forensic files, and like they'll have like
Hmm.
those 911 calls being recorded. And sometimes I feel like if I'm in that situation, and I know you say you all go through like these questions that you have to ask, and sometimes I can see, like I said, it's definitely a big part of your job. But I feel like if I was like that person in a hurry, or like, I guess I would feel like, just get somebody out here, like, something like
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure y'all have had those like moments where, like you, but at the same time, like that is part of your job. You got to get as much information as possible. And but like, so now I can understand why y'all asked that. But like back then when I was younger, probably less impatient when I was in my early 20s. Just thinking about, like, like, why can't they just send out an ambulance, send out a cop
Yeah.
car, like, or
Uh-huh.
something like that. But like, you definitely don't know what to send out if you don't know how big or severe their emergency is, or if they're breathing. Because I know I've always heard that question is, do they have a pulse? Like, you got to check their pulse. And I mean, are they conscious? Are they unconscious? Like, just stuff like that. So like I said, it's definitely a lot of emotions, because like, even though I'm definitely not in the 911 operating area, but like I used to work with customers at a grocery store. And even like their tone, like as you mentioned, their, like whenever their tone comes off as like, irate, frustrated, then it like makes you frustrated. So it's like a negative, like kind of chain reaction. It's like, like, because you're mad, I'm mad now because you're
Yeah.
mad. And like I said, just definitely, like I said, it's definitely a challenge. I can see that. And just trying to keep it under control, I'm sure, is definitely hard, because like you definitely want to, like, just blow up, just like, shut up and answer my questions. Like it's like, but at the same time, like you said, you have to be as good that y'all are understanding and knowing that they are in distress, and like they are just,
Absolutely.
basically
Yeah.
just desperate for help. And as those are definitely three really good answers. Like I said, I could definitely see, how, those could be, the immediate kind of or initial reactions whenever you get those hard calls.
Yeah, and you actually made a really good point. So I want to backtrack for just a second, if you don't mind.
Mm.
So you brought up that you say, just send an ambulance or just send a police car. So the biggest stigma right now with 911 that we've noticed is people think that us as 911 are the ones responding to emergencies. So people think that I'm in the police car and I'm driving to your house while I'm getting this information. But the reality of that is, from the moment that you dial 911 and I get your address and I get what's going on, somebody sitting beside me or even across from me is on the radio dispatching all of the help that you need to your house. So we just try, and that's one thing that we try and tell people and reassure them that help is coming. We're not the ones that are responding, but we are sending help. So I heard you say that, so I just kind of wanted to bring that up and just kind of add that little add on in there.
Yeah, and that's definitely good that you clarified that because yeah, I'm sure a lot of people that, or if they ever had to call 911, unfortunately, like so they may be thinking, that, just some get somebody out here and like but in the, reality, like so there is somebody that's like right next to you or right by you that is already doing it for you as
Hmm.
you're trying to communicate like, what's your address, what's, basically what's all going on, like what's the situation here, like how bad is it, like is this person okay, are they breathing? So like I said, it's definitely good that you brought that up because like I said, that brings a lot of clarification even to me just because I'm